The large hall was silent. Leaders from many alien worlds sat around the grand table. They had come to sign a peace treaty that would finally end the long war between humans and the alien alliance. The air was tense, but hopeful. At the front of the room stood the alien queen, tall, proud, and cold. Her silver crown reflected the lights above. She had led her people through many battles, and now she was about to bring peace. Everyone waited for her speech, but before she could speak, the main doors suddenly opened. A figure walked in, slow but steady. His armor was scratched, burnt, and dirty. A long scar crossed the side of his face. His eyes were sharp and focused. It was a human soldier. Everyone turned to look. Some gasped, some whispered. A few even stood in shock, but no one was more surprised than the alien queen. Her eyes widened. She took one step back. Her voice shook. You were supposed to be dead," she said, almost in a whisper but loud enough for all to hear. The soldier stopped in the middle of the hall. His voice was calm. "Hello, Your Highness. Miss me?" Guards moved forward, unsure what to do. The queen raised her hand to stop them. Her eyes never left the man in front of her. "You can't be here," she said. "You died during the mission on Darcis 9. The soldier gave a small smile. "That's what you told everyone, didn't you?" Silence fell, again. The human commander from Earth stood up slowly. "Who is this man?" he asked. The queen stayed silent. The soldier answered instead. "Captain Rain, thought to be killed in action 5 years ago. Left behind with no backup, but I survived." He took out a small device from his armor and placed it on the table. It lit up, showing a hologram. It was a map, a lab, and files with alien codes. Some of the leaders leaned forward to see more. "This," said Rain, "is proof of what she did." The queen's face turned pale. She tried to speak, but Rain raised his hand. "I'll speak now. I was captured during a secret mission. They didn't kill me. They used me, tested on me, kept me hidden. She knew. She ordered it." Gasps spread around the room. Some leaders stood up. Others looked at the queen with shock and anger. The queen finally spoke. "That's a lie. This is a trick. He's trying to stop the peace process." Rain looked at her, his voice steady. "Peace built on lies is not peace. It's a trap. And I won't let it happen." The Earth commander stepped closer. "Why didn't you come back before?" Rain's eyes grew darker. "Because I had to escape first. I had to survive. And now, I had to return. To warn you all." The queen stepped back again, her hands shaking. The truth was out. The soldier she thought was dead had returned, and he had brought more than just memories. He had brought justice. 5 years ago, the human soldier Rain stood with his team on the edge of an alien world called Darcis 9. The planet was cold and dark, covered with strange plants and deep fog. Their mission was clear: destroy the secret alien lab hidden under the mountains. That lab was said to be working on something dangerous, something that could turn the tide of war. Rain's team was chosen because they were the best. Quiet, fast, and skilled. The mission had to be done in silence, and no one could know they were ever there. Rain remembered the feeling as they moved through the misty forest. His boots were soaked, and every sound felt loud in the silence. They reached the entrance, a hidden door covered with vines and rock. With a small tool, they opened it and went in. Inside, the lab was huge. Glowing blue tubes lined the walls. Machines beeped softly. Strange shadows moved behind thick glass. But something was wrong. Before they could place the charges, alarms rang. Out. Red lights flashed. Doors slammed shut. The team was trapped. A voice echoed in the hallway. It was the alien queen's voice. "You've entered forbidden ground," she said. "You will not leave alive." Rain and his team fought hard. They split up, trying to complete the mission. One by one, his team members fell. Rain was the last one standing. He managed to set off a small blast to open a way out, but it wasn't enough. He was captured. The aliens didn't kill him. They saw something in him, something they could use. Rain was taken deeper underground into a hidden part of the lab. There, time felt like it stopped. He was locked in a cell, injected with strange fluids and hooked to machines. They studied his body, his strength, his mind. Every day he woke up to cold lights and quiet pain. And every day he planned. He listened to the guards. He watched the scientists. He learned their language, their habits, and their mistakes. And then one day a new face arrived, a royal guard from the Queen's palace. He gave orders to increase the testing. Rain heard them speak her name. That was when he knew. She was behind all of this. The Queen had used the war to cover up her illegal work. She had ordered tests on human prisoners to make stronger fighters. She wanted to create something powerful that only she could control. Rain waited. For years, he waited. One night, during a storm, the lab's power dropped for a few seconds. The guards were slow to respond. Rain used a broken piece of metal he had hidden under his bed. He attacked the nearest guard, took his card, and escaped his cell. He didn't run for the exit. He ran for the data room. Inside, he downloaded files, maps, and recordings. Everything the Queen had tried to hide. Then, with the alarms ringing again, he climbed through the old tunnels deep under the lab. He didn't look back. Rain made it to the surface, cold and tired, but alive. For weeks he wandered, hiding from patrols, searching for a way off the planet. He found an old cargo ship hidden in the mountains. After fixing it with stolen parts, he left Darcis 9 behind. He had one goal now: return to Earth. Not as a soldier, but as a witness. The mission was never truly over. Now it had a new purpose: expose the truth and stop the Queen before she could finish what she started. Rain sat in the small cargo ship, breathing hard. His hands shook as he worked the controls. The old alien ship was not made for humans, but he had learned enough during his years in the lab. The engines roared, and the ship rose into the dark sky of Darcis 9. The lab behind him was now far below, hidden in the rocky ground. He didn't know if they would chase him. He didn't care. He was finally free. The ship was slow and broken. Lights flickered, and the air was cold. He had no weapons, no food, and only enough power to reach the nearest outpost. But he had something more important than comfort. He had proof. He looked at the small device on the control panel. It held data he had stolen from the Queen's secret lab. Inside were files, videos, and names. Names of humans who had been tested. Names of places where new labs were being built. And something else: the Queen's voice giving orders. Rain knew what he had to do. Reach a neutral space station, send the data to Earth Command, and warn the galaxy. But space was not kind. His ship passed through asteroid fields, black zones with no signals, and areas controlled by alien warlords. Each day was a fight to survive. One night, the ship lost power. Rain floated in the dark, thinking it might be the end. But he used an old trick. He rerouted energy from the backup engine. The lights returned, and so did his hope. That moment reminded him, humans never give up. After many days, he reached Station Zeta 4, a quiet outpost used by traders and travelers. It was neutral ground, not controlled by humans or aliens. Rain landed the ship with a rough crash, drawing attention. He stepped out, weak and tired, but his eyes showed strength. The guards at the dock pointed their weapons, unsure who or what he was. His armor looked strange, a mix of human and alien tech. His face was rough, with a scar that crossed his cheek like a reminder of everything he had endured. "I need help," he said. They took him inside. Doctors checked his health. He refused to sleep until he sent the message. Using the station's secure link, he uploaded the stolen files and sent them to Earth Command with one line: "The Queen is planning something, she must be stopped." Then he collapsed. He slept for 2 full days. When he woke up, news had already spread. The files he sent were real. The data was clear. Earth Command responded quickly, sending a team to bring him home. But something else had happened too. The Queen had disappeared. Rain knew why. She had seen the message. She knew he was alive. And now she was planning something faster than before. The humans came for Rain. He left the station with a heavy heart, knowing the real battle was just starting. He had exposed the truth, but stopping the Queen would take more than words. It would take action. As the ship carrying him moved toward Earth, he looked out the window. Stars passed by like silent watchers. Somewhere out there, the Queen was preparing her next move, and Rain knew this time. He had to be ready. Not just to survive, but to finish what he started. Rain's ship entered Earth's orbit. It was escorted by 2 human battlecruisers, their dark frames strong against the stars. Inside, he sat quietly, his eyes fixed on the large window. It had been years since he had seen his home planet. But this was not a return for rest. It was a return for justice. When the ship landed, Earth Command officers greeted him. They looked surprised. Most had believed he was dead. The scars, the worn armor, the tired eyes. Rain had changed, but so had the war. He was taken to a secure meeting room where top generals and leaders waited. A large screen lit up behind them, showing parts of the files he had sent. Images of labs, alien scientists, test subjects, proof of everything. Rain stood in front of them. "I'm not here for medals," he said. "I'm here to stop the Queen. She is building something worse than war. She wants control, complete control over both humans and aliens." One general leaned forward. "We saw the fleet designs. Are they real?" Rain nodded. "Very real." Her plan was to use the peace talks as a trick. Once peace was signed, she would launch her secret fleet. No one would expect it. She would strike fast and rule without resistance. The room fell silent. An officer asked, "Where is she now?" Rain took a breath. "She's hiding, but not far. She knew I was alive the moment I appeared at the summit. She fled before anyone could stop her." He then pointed to a marked system on the star map. "This is where her command base is now. Hidden in an asteroid field, protected but not impossible to reach." The leaders looked at each other. They knew the risk. If they moved too early, the Queen might escape again. If they waited too long, her fleet might launch. One of the admirals finally said, "Then we strike before she does." A plan was made. But Rain had another task. "I need to speak to her," he said. The room turned quiet again. She needs to know that her time is up, not just through weapons, through truth. The commanders agreed. A communication link was set up. It took hours to find her signal, but finally her face appeared on the screen. The Queen sat on a tall chair in a dim room. Her crown was gone. Her face was calm, but her eyes were cold. "You," she said. Rain looked at her. "You used science to play with lives. You turned the war into your personal game, but it's over now." She smiled slowly. "You think sending some files will stop me? I am the Queen. I command more than just ships." "You command fear," Rain replied, "but not anymore. The galaxy has seen the truth." Her smile faded. "Then come, human. If you want to end this, you'll have to face me." The screen went dark. Rain turned to the commanders. "She wants a fight. Let's give it to her." But this was not just about war. It was about proving something bigger. That no matter how strong a leader may seem, they cannot hide forever. Not from truth, not from justice. Rain walked out of the room, his mission clear. The Queen had ruled with fear and lies. Now she would face someone who had survived her worst and returned stronger. The next battle would decide everything. The stars were calm, but something was moving in the darkness. The Queen's secret fleet. Dozens of massive alien warships appeared near the edge of human space. Their black metal bodies were hidden behind cloaking fields. They had no flags, no warnings, only orders to attack. The peace treaty was never her goal. It was a distraction. And now the Queen had made her move, but Earth Command was ready. Because of Rain's warning, human forces had been placed in key areas. Satellites tracked the enemy ships. Fleets were already waiting in silent orbit. On one of the command ships stood Rain, now wearing fresh armor, silver and blue, marked with a small symbol on his chest, a scar crossed by light. He stared at the screen as alerts rang out. "They're coming." The admiral beside him nodded. "We see them, just like you said." Rain walked to the strategy table and pointed at the enemy movement. "They'll split here, 5 toward Mars outpost, 10 toward the lunar base. But the real target is Earth. This isn't just war, this is a full takeover." The admiral asked, "How do you know her moves so well?" Rain's voice was firm. "Because I watched her plan them for years." The human fleet moved out. Hundreds of ships flew into position, fighters launched, defense satellites powered up, and in the middle of it all, Rain's ship led the charge. The first clash came near the asteroid belt. The Queen's ships struck, hard using strange weapons that bent energy and cracked shields, but humans fought back with strategy and teamwork. Rain guided his crew through the chaos, dodging blasts and sending orders. "Cut off their rear line," he shouted. "Block their retreat." One by one, the enemy ships fell. Some exploded. In fire, others lost power and drifted into space. Rain's team found a weakness. The Queen's ships were linked by a central control signal. Break it, and the fleet would lose unity. Rain made a bold choice. "I'm going in," he said. His small fighter shot forward past the main battle. He headed toward the largest ship, a giant command cruiser hidden near Saturn's moon. It was the source of the fleet's orders. Inside the cruiser, the Queen watched the battle from her throne room. She looked calm, but her fingers tapped the chair. She had not expected this much resistance. Then a message flashed on her screen. "Unknown fighter approaching. Pilot ID, Captain Rain." Her eyes widened. "He's still alive?" She stood up fast. "Stop him now!" But it was too late. Rain's fighter dodged blasts, spun through defenses, and landed on the command cruiser's outer hull. He jumped out, using a special suit, and blasted open a panel. Inside, he placed a virus device into the system. The Queen's command signal broke. All over the battlefield, her ships lost contact. Confused, they moved slower, easier to target. Human ships pushed forward. Allied alien races joined the fight, inspired by Rain's courage and the Queen's exposed truth. Rain escaped back to his ship just in time. The Queen's cruiser began to fall back, retreating toward her throne world. Rain, breathing hard, looked at the stars. "We're not done yet," he said. The battle was not over, but Earth had won the first round. The Queen's secret was no longer hidden. Her fleet was broken, and her power shaken. But Rain knew the final fight was still ahead, on her home turf. The sky above Earth was now quiet, but the war was not finished. The Queen's fleet had been stopped, but she had escaped. Her command ship disappeared into deep space, heading straight for her throne world, Vyrexia, a planet hidden behind energy storms and sharp asteroid fields. Many believed it was impossible to reach, but Rain didn't believe in impossible. Inside Earth's war room, commanders and leaders gathered again. They all looked at Rain, the man who had returned from the dead, destroyed the Queen's control system, and brought hope back to the galaxy. One general asked, "Can we find her?" Rain stepped forward. "I know where she's going. Vyrexia. That's her last stronghold. If we take it, she loses everything." An admiral frowned. "Vyrexia is a death trap. Storms, asteroid belts, and no maps. Even drones don't return." Rain looked him in the eye. "I've been there. When I escaped the lab, I passed through the outer system. I still remember the path." The room was silent. Everyone knew the risk. But finally, Earth Command agreed. They couldn't let the Queen escape again. 3 battle cruisers, 10 fighter wings, and 1 stealth ship with Rain as its leader began the journey. As they entered deep space, the stars faded behind thick clouds of energy storms. Thunder cracked in silence, and lights flashed, like ghosts in the dark. The ship shook. "Hold steady," Rain shouted. "Follow my path." Through the swirling chaos, Rain guided them. He remembered the markers: broken moons, red gas trails, strange signal echoes. Slowly, they came closer to Vyrexia. Then, the Queen's defenses. activated dozens of auto turrets, cloaked mines, and guardian ships attacked. The space around them lit up with fire. Human fighters dodged and struck back. Explosions spread across the field. One cruiser was hit and had to fall back. Rain's ship pushed forward. "Head to the surface," he ordered. "We can't win. This in space. We must reach her fortress." Through the smoke and fire, Rain's team landed near the Queen's palace. The building was large, made of black stone and silver glass, standing tall like a crown. Alien guards rushed forward, but Rain and the ground team fought bravely. Lasers flashed. Ground shook, but nothing stopped their advance. Rain led the charge through the gate. Inside, the halls were wide and cold. Statues of the Queen stood everywhere. Her voice echoed through the walls. "You came all this way just to fall at my feet?" Rain spoke back. "I didn't come to fall. I came to finish this." Room by room, they fought their way in. Rain's mind stayed clear. He remembered the pain of the lab, the faces of his team, the lies of the Queen. Finally, they reached the throne room. The large doors opened slowly. Inside stood the Queen, dressed in dark armor, a staff in her hand. She looked at Rain with calm eyes, but there was fire in her heart. "I gave you a chance to live quietly," she said. "You took everything from me," Rain replied. "Now it ends." The soldiers stayed behind. Rain stepped forward alone. The Queen smiled coldly. "You're brave, but bravery is not enough." Rain raised his weapon. "Let's find out." The final battle had begun, not just for Earth, not just for revenge, but for truth, freedom, and the hope that even in the darkest parts of the galaxy, the human spirit can rise and shine. Rain stood in front of the alien Queen in her throne room. The walls were covered with silver and black designs. The floor was smooth and shining like glass, but the air was heavy, filled with tension, anger, and unfinished business. The Queen held her staff tightly. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed her fear. "You survived everything I threw at you," she said. "You ruined my fleet, turned my allies against me, and made the galaxy doubt me." Rain kept walking forward. "You brought this on yourself. You hurt innocent people. You lied to your own council, and you turned the war into your playground." She laughed softly. "You think your words matter? You're just one man." Rain raised his weapon. "I'm one human, and that's more than enough." Suddenly, the Queen moved fast. Her staff glowed with energy, and she attacked. Rain dodged and blocked her strikes. The sound of metal and energy filled the room. They fought across the throne room, crashing into pillars and sending sparks into the air. The Queen was skilled, but Rain was stronger now. He had trained in pain, survived in darkness, and carried the weight of truth. Each strike he made pushed her back. "You don't belong here," she shouted, swinging her staff. Rain blocked it. "Neither do lies." With one final move, he knocked the staff from her hands. She fell back, breathing hard, her crown tilted on her head. Rain pointed, his weapon at her. "It's over." But the Queen didn't beg. She smiled again, weak but proud. "Go ahead. End it. Or are you too human for that?" Rain paused. He looked at her. Then he lowered his weapon. "No. You don't get the easy way out," he said. "You'll face justice in front of the galaxy. You'll answer for every name, every life, every lie." The door behind him opened. Human and allied soldiers entered, weapons ready. "Take her away," Rain ordered. The Queen stood slowly, eyes burning with defeat. She didn't say another word. Her guards had all fallen. Her fleet was destroyed. Her empire finished. As the soldiers took her, Rain walked to the center of the throne room. He looked up at the tall ceiling and let out a slow breath. It was done. Outside, the human flags were raised. The Queen's tower, once a sign of fear, now became a symbol of change. Across the galaxy, people watched the news. The Queen had fallen. The human soldier who was thought to be dead had returned and brought hope with him. Weeks later, Rain stood before the Galactic Council. The leaders of many worlds watched him with respect. You were alone, one alien said. Yet you stood, against a queen. Rain nodded. I didn't do it alone, I had help. From those who believe the truth matters more than power, another leader asked, What will you do now? Rain smiled gently. Rest. Maybe visit a quiet planet. But if someone needs me again, I'll be ready. The room clapped. Rain left the council chamber, walking into the sunlight for the first time in years. The war was over, but more than that, he had proven something greater. That even in the darkest times, a single human can stand up, face the storm, and make a difference. He looked at the sky. The stars were waiting, and so was the future.